Okay. And we meet again for the first of many times this 2015 Halloween Horror Nights season. And real quick, I will state this is a Hollywood video. If it says HHN Hollywood on it, that means that it's a Hollywood video, and if I'm going to be talking about Orlando, I'm going to be talking about HHN 25. That being said, and that out of the way, let's get started. So, last night, about 12 hours ago, John Murdy decided he wanted to throw us all a bone in the end of January and give us the first official code name for a maze at Halloween Horror Nights this year. So, this code word is post-punk. Let me explain what that means. Okay, post-punk is a catch-all name for the music that followed the punk rock explosion of the 1970s. The hint to the theme of this maze can be found in a song title of one of the bands that it was initially associated with this musical movement. Okay, here's your hints. Number one of the key members of this group shares one of his names, John Murdy's names. And through the power of friends and the wonderful information machine that is Facebook, we have found out that John Murdy has two middle names. His legitimate name is Jonathan Robert Francis Murdy. So, I'm sure there are band members named Murdy somewhere in the post-punk line, but I think that's too obvious. So I think we're focusing on John, Robert, or Francis. So, that's what I did. And that's why I'm saying this is the first of probably many speculation videos. And if I get it right on this one, there won't be any need for another one. But then again, I'm not sure if I'm going to get it right on this one or wrong on this one because I'm sure no one's going to tell me. I know for a fact John Murdy himself did watch my Malcolm speculation video at the start, and he was like, wow, there's a lot of things that could be. And I was like, yes, there are. And you are a crafty person, sir. But I really want to say that obviously Murdy thinks in the carny side of life, and so do I. So that's the reason why last year I was able to successfully decipher the code words for Hollywood. So I'm going to try to ring that bell yet again. So, number two. The other hint is one of the words of the song title is something that modern technology has pretty much killed. It might be extinct one day. And the third and final one, this song is not as obscure as you may think. It was a single originally. Okay. One of these may or may not be a red herring. Happy hunting. Alright. So let's talk about some bands, shall we? I have a few bands that come to mind immediately. One would be A Flock of Seagulls. Flock of Seagulls has a band member named Frank Lee Maudsley. And there's a song called Wishing I Had a Photograph of You. Well, obviously, throughout the horror genre, it's very apparent that most of the time before the killers decide they want to do dastardly things to their victims, they kind of take a picture. So, yeah, let's take a gruesome selfie, basically, of what's about to happen. So, you can connect a lot of horror properties to photographs, and the only actual one that has to do with photographs would be Shudder, and I think it's too obscure to even talk about it, even bring it into the conversation. Number two would be The Cure. Obviously, everyone knows Robert Smith from The Cure. They have a lot of very interesting connections. Let me explain what I mean by that. They have a song that was called Meat Hook. When you think Meat Hook, what do you think? You think Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know what you're thinking. Oh, and they've done this before. They've done all the big icons of horror before. Yeah, it's true. Doesn't mean they can't do it again. Two, they have a single called Freak Show. Now, a lot of people are thinking that Freak Show is a direct connection to American Horror Story. And there is a lot of rumors via what we heard originally on the Twitter feed that there is going to be a Freak Show house maze, depending on what you're looking at, in Hollywood this year. There's a lot of rumors that we're going to be sharing an American Horror Story house and maze this year, and I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm not sure at this point. As we get further and further into it, apparently this season wasn't very well received by most of the fans, so who knows, maybe or maybe not. Maybe it'll just end up in Hollywood, maybe not, but that's speculation right there. There's a song called Let's Go to Bed, and of course, when you think about going to bed, what happens when you go to bed? You have terrible, terrible nightmares. So yes, Freddie returning to Hollywood is a possibility as well, and this was also a single, which fits the single criteria. There's a song called The 13th, which of course is a potential direct connection to Friday the 13th and the return of Jason Voorhees to Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. There's an interesting song called The Hanging Garden. The Hanging Garden is the closest thing I can come to a hanging tree. And I'm not talking about the really creepy, now you think about it, now I've said it, you can't unhear it, song that's at the end of Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, the Hanging Tree song, which is the only thing that comes to mind, and that's the fact that Hollywood very well could be getting sinister this year. If that's the case, I'm not exactly sure if we're going to be sharing that, because that seems like something that'll come to Hollywood, and maybe Hollywood only. I did say I want to see Sinister in Orlando, but who knows if it's going to happen or not. There's a song called Lullaby, which of course you can connect to a lot of different, like, melodic songs, and children's nursery rhymes, basically. So yeah, the Jump Rope Children from Nightmare on Elm Street, or Amityville Horror, or Poltergeist. These are all three things that potentially can be coming to Hollywood this year. So, a lot of things a lot of people would like to see. Okay, the band Ministry has John Davis and Robert Roberts. I believe they were part of the original lineup of the group. They have a song called Over the Shoulder. And when I look over the shoulder, I'm expecting to see Darth Maul behind me. So yeah, this is what I'm thinking is a potential clue to the return of Insidious at Hollywood. Insidious 3, of course, coming out this year. I think it would be a really good connection. And I think that it may happen. I do think it will happen, but this may or may not be the actual connection here. There's a song called Every Day is Halloween, and of course you can easily connect that to Halloween, but there's a very good way you can connect that to Trick or Treat. And Trick or Treat is something that I've been hearing for years John Murdy wants to do, and it's something I believe we would share if we got it. So I think that's a good possibility that we could be getting Trick or Treat in Hollywood and Orlando this year. But then again, it's anyone's guess at this point. All bets are off once we find out when John Murdy is going to be stepping down as creative director. Once he does, I think that the clock is ticking on trying to get stuff like Trick or Treat and The Exorcist to Halloween Horror Nights before he steps down. That's what I'm thinking is probably going to end up happening. That's how we get it. So, Ministry has a band called Tonight We Murder. You could connect that to anything horror-related, but Tonight We Murder comes to mind, actually, The Purge. And even though The Purge 3 got set back to next year, I still think it's a possibility that we could potentially see The Purge in one form or another at Halloween Horror Nights. But then again, it's probably a better bet that it's going to be saved for next year. And it could take over the Terror Tram, which I know a lot of people want to see that happen. Or it could just be another scare zone. But I'm going to guess in that case, I would say that this would be a connection, potentially, to a Purge maze, which is something I've been calling for 2 years in Orlando, so let's see what happens. They also have a song called The Cannibal Song, which, of course, you think cannibals, you think the Hewitt family, you think Leatherface, you think Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, yeah, it's coming up a lot. So, Public Image Limited has John Rotten. Johnny Lydon, Johnny Rotten, very iconic superstar in the land of punk. Song called I Must Be Dreaming, another connection to Nightmare on Elm Street. A song called Out of the Woods, which is the one lone connection I have to bringing Cabin in the Woods to Hollywood, which I called last year and it didn't happen. It could happen this year. It's possible. People may have forgotten about it and might be something that people are like pushing under the rug, but Out of the Woods could be Cabin in the Woods, could be Evil Dead, who knows. There's another song called Mirror in the Bathroom, which is a connection as well to Insidious, because obviously Patrick Wilson sees the evil red guy in the background, so, of his mirror, so that makes perfect sense to me. Excuse me. Modern English has Robert Gray, and the song called Smiles and Laughter, which also connects to American Horror Story Freak Show. The Greatest Show, which connects also to American Horror Story Freak Show. And a song called Ink and Paper, which is the only connection I can see to technology killing something. Obviously, print journalism has pretty much been destroyed by our technology nowadays, because everything is so quickly accessible on the internet. Print journalism, newspapers, periodicals, they pretty much are a thing of the past, and very soon will probably no longer be. Newspapers and magazines will probably go away. So ink and paper makes sense, but how that connects to a horror property is anyone's guess. So, Susie and the Banshees, they got Sid Vicious, John Ritchie. There's a song called Metal Postcard, which is a connection to the clue, obviously, being the technology that is being killed. So that's, postcards make sense. Obviously, the mail will probably no longer be a thing someday down the line, because everybody will get everything electronically via their phones or their computers. So, yeah, obviously, mail will probably be a thing of the past one of these days, since we can all pay our bills electronically now, and most people do. The people that hang on, obviously, I can understand that, but when it comes down to it, yeah, most of the stuff's being done electronically. So, yeah, the death of postcards, the death of mail makes perfect sense. Another one here is called Skin, and I think Skin, there's a lot of connections, but I'm thinking of being skinned alive, and that is another connection to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a song called Carousel, which connects to American Horror Story Freak Show as well. There's actually a song on the Freak Show soundtrack, which is called Carousel, so it makes sense, and Carousel makes me think of an old-timey carnival, so obviously there's there. There's a song called Halloween, which connects me to Trick or Treat yet again. It also could be another Halloween house. It's a very good possibility a Halloween maze could be coming back to Hollywood, given the fact that it was oh so successful with us in Orlando last year. There's a song called Voodoo Dolly, which connects to the only connection I have to Coven from American Horror Story. I have no connection to Murder House, so that's interesting, but I have a connection to Coven, and that's interesting that we look at that, so. Then there's one that jumps to me immediately. It fits the criteria of the name, obviously, and it doesn't fit any other criteria, that's the problem. But this is the one clue we have to something, a dream property, that we've heard Murdy's been wanting to do for a long time, and it's a very, very serious rumor that it could be possibly coming this year, and that is the song, This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us. And the only thing that comes to mind is a battle between two horror icons when I think of that, and the only thing that comes to mind immediately is the fact that this could possibly be a connection to Freddy vs. Jason. Which is something I've been calling to come to Orlando this year, actually, with all the weird connections we had with all the Friday stuff in the, excuse me, in the Halloween Horror Nights 25 survey. Everybody but me got sent, and then, of course, the Elm Street sign in Resident Evil, and the sweater in Dollhouse of the Damned, well, not Dollhouse of the Damned, in, excuse me, in Halloween last year, so yeah. I'm thinking it's a possibility Freddy vs. Jason may be a possibility, but I don't know if this is going to be it or not. We finally come to the last one, and of course it comes to the band The Buggles, and don't really have a connection here. Actually, I will look on camera here. The Buggles do fit the connection with a couple of things. Now, it's weird that the Buggles would not be part of the first one. Yeah, it's weird. It does not connect to the first name. Maybe the name thing is a red herring. And like I said, that's a wicked red herring if that's the case. And if it doesn't connect via the name, if the fact one of these key members of the group is one of John Murdy's 4 names, if that's a red herring, then yeah, that's really wicked. And that also leads to the fact that the Buggles would be potentially our answer. That song being the iconic hit that started MTV, literally, do some homework, of course, if you didn't know, it was the first ever music video ever played on MTV back in the day, when MTV used to, gasp, play music videos. Video killed the radio star. And when video killed the radio star, obviously the death of video, the death of radio completely. And talking about video, well, when I come to video, obviously, a couple things jump to mind immediately. The paranormal movies. I don't know if Paranormal Activity will ever come to Hollywood or not, or Orlando, or Halloween Horror Nights, period. I mean, maybe a room, potentially, in, like, a Greatest Hits house, or maybe, like, a collage house, kind of like an all-night die-in, maybe. But, because I did call an all-night die-in paranormal version this year as a possibility. I'll talk about that in the Orlando spec. But the connection here, obviously, is also through Sinister. So, I had 2 connections for Sinister. So, what am I saying right now? Well, at the earliest possible time that I could be giving you guys any information, via just looking through this list of everything, post-punk could be Nightmare on Elm Street. It could be Friday the 13th. It could be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It could be Sinister. It could be American Horror Story, either Coven or Freak Show, or maybe like an amalgamation of all the seasons wrapped into one. I do see the Freak Show entrance that I've seen in the pictures on Google Images, because obviously I've never watched the show. And it really looks like it would be a great facade for a house in Orlando and a maze in Hollywood. It's anyone's guess if it's going to happen or not. Other possible things, it could be The Purge, it could be Cabin in the Woods, it could be Insidious 3, Poltergeist, it could be Halloween, it could be Trick or Treat, or it could be Freddy vs. Jason. Now, what do I think it is? Well, it's possible it could be Sinister. It's really possible it could be Sinister. I'm seeing a lot of American Horror Story here, so this, right now, it seems to me like it's jumping out that this really could be American Horror Story. And it's funny I mentioned that because Murdy was hinting around that something was coming, and he was talking about some different things, and he said, welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, and it's Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, and I don't even like them. That's a Patton Oswalt reference you guys don't even know. The weekend CD buying sprees thing. Anyway, maybe somebody will get that reference that has watched this video. So yeah, it's kind of hinting to American Horror Story, potentially, as being the first official property for Halloween Horror Nights. So the thing is, I did not talk about The Walking Dead because John Murdy himself literally just crossed it off the list right away, and someone asked him if it was The Walking Dead. He said no. Just no. That's it. So yeah, it's not The Walking Dead. Doesn't mean The Walking Dead still won't come. It just means that this isn't The Walking Dead. Post-punk isn't The Walking Dead. Maybe it'll come later on. Who knows? So what is post-punk here? It's weird because there's so many things that jump out at me saying that this is American Horror Story. There's a lot of things telling me this is Insidious. There's a lot of things actually saying this is Sinister. There's a lot of things that are telling me it's going to be one of the New Line icons, like Freddy, Jason, or Leatherface. It's possible there. But then again, it's been a minute since there's been a maze of any of those three at Hollywood. So who knows at this point? Yeah, I think at this point right now, if I had to cross something out, I don't think it's The Purge. Cabin in the Woods, maybe, but I highly doubt it at this point. I mean, from the Public Image Limited connection through Johnny Rotten, you do have the choices of Nightmare, you have Cabin, and you have Insidious 3. I think if that's the case, I think it would be Insidious, is what I'm talking about here. So, as of right now, as of this very moment, without doing any more, like, thinking about it right away, I'm going to say, God, I don't want to say this, because if I say this, I'm going to be like, oh, well, Owen, you were wrong. Well, yeah, probably. But, yeah. If the clue about Murdy's name have nothing to do with it, this is Sinister, through Video Killed the Radio Star and the Buggles. Right. It could still be Sinister, the Hanging Garden clue we had from earlier. Also, right now, this is a really good possibility this is American Horror Story. Right now, I'm going to say that too many clues add up to it. It's one of two things. I think right now, as of this moment, as of 9:47 a.m. on Saturday, I will state that I think at this moment, I may be proven wrong, I may be proven right, who knows, that there are three possibilities. Post-punk is American Horror Story, Sinister, or Insidious 3. Simple as that. So what do you think post-punk is? Let me know in the comments below. You can tweet me at Sir and Disney. You want to talk via Twitter that way. I talk to a lot of my friends via Twitter, and you can check a lot of the awesome YouTube updaters. Wow. You can check us out on YouTube. My good friends at the Horror Night Updaters, and my good friend Psycho Massacre Films, and UKHHN, and, of course, HHN Fan 16, my friend Tristan. Also, a lot of the Crazy Englishman. There's a lot of really great updaters. You can check out all of their channels, and I think I have them here. Let's see if I do. Yes! Check out Hollywood Updaters here, HHN Trogdor. You have Dr. Emmett Brown 1, The Red Steel TV, Deadly Fear 1283, Admiral HHN, Mr. Horror Nights, the Thrill Seeker Network, as well as you can check out all the awesome, like HHN Phantom, HHN Fanboy. Check out all the different updaters on the West Coast and the East Coast, talking about the West Coast. And very soon, I'm sure Dr. Jimmy will be talking about Hollywood on his videos as well. And if that is the case, you can catch him on Documo on YouTube. So that being said, thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.